Again, without putting a time frame on it, because I think it'd be wrong to put Wes under too much pressure, but you can never quite tell with a back injury and especially a nerve problem. He's walking a lot better than he was. It'd be really good to see him out there, but I don't think we want to put any more pressure on him because he's the type of lad. I can't remember in the whole time Wes came him missing a day's training or very often a game because of injury. So the type of lad he is, he knows his body. Obviously, he's under the jurisdiction of the physios, and we'll let nature take its course. But there has been an improvement over the last 48 hours, and I think with backs, all of a sudden, you can feel that 100% better. Then it's a case of trying to get his boots on and trying to get him moving again.
Would you be willing, if he didn't make it for the Everton game as well, he could go straight back in for Atletico though?
Well, again, I think it would be something to look at. I think I'd need to see how many training days I'd need to see him in training with my eyes to give him the best possible chance.
Is it one you have to be particularly cautious with because there's an unknown element to the injury?
I think you have to be cautious with most injuries, but I think with the back and the time he's had out, I think, as I say, we'll make sure that we do what's right for everyone concerned.
I suppose with Ben Lawan coming in there and doing well as he has done, you've got somebody there that you'd be pulling in the air.
Yeah, but I would like everyone fit. It gives you problems. It gives you team selection headaches. So the quicker he's fit, the better, I think, for everyone.
You talk about Johan a little bit as well because he wasn't in the Premier League squad at the start of the season, and now he's obviously had a key role in a couple of victories. So how was he in that time when he wasn't in the squad, and did you have to? I know obviously your role was put the arm on the shoulder a lot of the time, but how was he?
He's always stayed positive. I'll give him credit for that. Sometimes when you're not playing as long as he has, he can get frustrated. Players can get frustrated, but he stayed very, very positive. I spoke to him over about 3 weeks ago about being ready and refocused. And I think in his performances, he's been really, really assured.
Was there a moment when you looked at him and thought, he's ready now for the Premier League?
Again, I think in training, he's become more composed this season. His performances in training have improved greatly. He wants to improve. So I had no doubt that he could perform at this level.
Because certainly on the face of the team selection, he seemed to be behind Martin Masalewski and possibly even Daniel Martin for that role a couple of months ago. So he's made a great leap in the last.
Yeah, I think in my eyes he was always available for selection in there. And as I say, I think he's put in a real assured performance over the last 2 games.
What has he improved on? What was his problem before?
Well, not so much as a problem. I think being adjusted to Premiership, he was very. He was probably overly aggressive at times in training, and me as a referee would pull him up. And he's listened, he's taken into it. He stayed being competitive. But as I say, he's become a lot more assured in them performances as well.
A nice bit of confidence with a little back flick.
Yeah, I noticed that.
Enjoy that one, did you?
I don't say enjoy it, but yeah.
So far he's had Andy Carroll, then he had Peter Crouch. Do you make the post going to be slightly different for him?
Yeah, we get that in the Premiership, and as I say, it's good. They get all different types of opponents in training. Johan will come up against a Jamie Vardy who wants to go in behind. He'll have a Leo who will look to pin. So he'll come up against all different opponents in training, which is good for them in terms of them moving forward.
On Sunderland, is the complacency issue that you've mentioned particularly key in this one? Because people look at them and go, they're relegated. They lost at Watford at the weekend, didn't show particularly much about themselves. But you must know that the players must know that they can produce results.
Yeah, I think as you say, we have to show everyone respect, and we will do that against them. I think I've said before that the squad very focused. We know what we've got to do. We know it's another home game, and we know that 3 points is vital for us as well as Sunderland.
Chris, that's on David Moyes. He's been in the news today because as part of his post-match after the Watford game, he suggested to a female reporter that he might offer her a slap. Obviously that's Sunderland's issue, I know, but just given that you're going to be facing them at the weekend, do you think that shows the kind of pressure that is down there?
That's Sunderland's issue to me.
Yeah, I know it's not our issue, it's Sunderland's issue. It's not like David. I think he's come out and apologised. So I think we all have to take that on face value.
Craig, can I ask you one about Vardy? I read his book recently and he says some nice things about you in there. And he particularly talks and references a couple of times a meeting he had with you and Nigel and Steve Walsh in his first season at the club, where he was struggling. He said he wanted to go back to Fleetwood. He'd even kicked around the possibility of quitting football, going to Ibiza. I mean, looking back now, that seems to have been a pivotal moment in his career, getting his head right.
I remember the situation really, really well. I haven't read his book, by the way, yet. Maybe I can borrow yours. But yeah, it's obviously nice when players say it, but I found it, all I was doing was my job in terms of supporting Jamie. I think our job is there to support players when it need be, not just Jamie, but all the players. I think sometimes they do have self-doubts. We have this feeling about players that sometimes have this invincible attitude. At that time, Jamie would be the first to admit he was probably going through a rough patch. Myself, Nigel and Steve were here to support him, and we made sure when we sat him down, because he was doubting himself, all we did was telling him about the attributes that he had, and we thought that he could go on, and we even mentioned then about not only playing in the Premiership, but you've got all the attributes to play for the national team. We want you here. We believe in you. And I think he just needed that support, really, because he was self-doubting himself, of which all players can do at any given time.
Having helped him through that must have been rock bottom for him. We were talking about him even going to Ibiza to be a rep. I mean, having helped him through that, do you feel you've got a pretty strong bond with him?
Again, I think it's just about being honest with the player where you see him at the moment. Thankfully, he didn't go to Ibiza, by the way, and I think he's made the right decision. But I think it's just there to be that support, and sometimes you have to tell the players and be honest with them that they need to work harder. But in that instance, I think Jamie just needed the support and the belief. He needed to know that the management team had the belief in him, and that's what we did.
Do you think that played a factor in his mind when he had the opportunity to go to Arsenal last year?
I'm not sure. I think, of course, when they feel valued, of which he did. He'd had a great season here, by the way, and I didn't see any reason for him to go. But again, I haven't asked him about that because it was a private situation for Jamie, and thankfully he chose us.
Claudio said he spoke to him a lot at the time. Did the other coaching staff make calls to him around that time too?
I tried, but I think he was in Ibiza. I think I don't think he was here. I did try. I texted him, but as you say, I knew that Claudio had spoke to him. And sometimes you want them to make the right decisions for the right reasons rather than cloud their judgment. But of course, he needed to know that we wanted him to stay here, which he did.
Craig, Tommy Coakley's done an interview where he's revealed that he had a chat with you, where you said you were unsure about taking this job. How do you feel now about it?
I think it was reported differently than what happened in terms of the conversation. But Tommy's a very good friend of mine. He's an ex-manager who I have a lot of time for. I will speak to him at times in terms of things that he's gone through, because he's gone through them as a football manager. Again, it wasn't that I wasn't sure about taking the job, it's whether I was offered the job. And as I say, I bounced some ideas off Tommy, and I will always look to him for support at the right times.
Craig, 13-year-old Travis Hackins travelling all the way from California to see the game. He's a massive Foxes fan and he's recovering from leukemia. What does that say about the worldwide sort of brand that the Leicester Football Club has become, and how special is something like that?
Yeah, I think that's lovely to hear, and also he'll be made very, very welcome. But we do things like that in the community here, not just local, but as you say, international. We had a lad on Saturday travel from America to see Rehad, and all those things I think are good for football, because we do occasionally have the downfalls and we see them in the press for the wrong reasons. But when we can make a child's dream come true like that, and we see that the smile on his face, I think there's nothing better than that.
Okay, thanks everybody.
Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you.
Yes, sorry about that, boys, but I just have to thank you for just the one. See you patiently. I'm sorry.
You give this book a plug.
Yeah, we give his book. Thank you.
It's great.